There are reports surfacing that more and more Canadians are surrendering their pets to shelters for a wide range of reasons, and many of those shelters are being overrun by dogs and cats. The News Forum's Western Canada Bureau Chief Hal Roberts chatted with the Calgary Humane Society for more.
So, Sally, how tough has it been at the Calgary Humane Society right now? How many dogs and cats have you taken in?
It's very tough at the Calgary Humane Society right now. It is a never-ending flow of animals coming inwards, that is for sure. So we're pretty much full, pretty much at capacity there for our animals. You know, our holding facilities are completely full with these animals that are just ready and waiting to come up for adoption, pending their medical and behavioral. But it's all types of animals. It's cats, it's dogs, rabbits, birds, you name it, we take it, we have it, and they're just waiting to flow through and be adopted.
I was going to ask, do you have any potbelly pigs or maybe even ferrets? You know?
We don't have any potbelly pigs. We have had them before. They're always a joy to have. Ferrets, I don't think we have any on our hand right now, but we do get them frequently, actually, relatively enough. We're very fortunate, though. They're such a niche animal; they get adopted very quickly.
So, when you say capacity, how many animals are we talking about?
So we have the ability to have on site at any given time 52 kennels worth of dogs. And I take care to say kennels because if we have a litter of puppies, that means that it's more than one dog in that particular kennel. And same thing with kittens. We have capacity for about 200 animals. And when we're referring to capacity, we're really referring to that ability for us to make sure that we are caring for them very properly, that they're getting all of their needs met. So that is going to average about 150 to 175 cats that we have on hand right now. And probably very close to 46, 48 dogs here in shelter.
Now, do you currently have a no-kill policy, or is it once you reach a limit and no one adopts after a certain amount of time that you actually have to put some of the animals down?
We're very fortunate we do not euthanize for time or space, and that is a balancing act. It's a juggling act when we are an open facility, which means that if an animal needs us, they're coming on in. But we don't euthanize for time or space. We will practice that in cases of severe medical that we can't treat and alleviate that suffering, or behavior in the event that there is a safety concern for that animal or individual. Other than that, we rely heavily on our foster homes really to manage then our animal population. So while we might have, like I said, 175 cats, 45 some dogs here in shelter, there's usually tons more out in a foster home. And we at Calgary Humane can average anywhere from 75 animals in a foster home all the way up to about 200 animals in foster care at a time. And thank goodness for our foster families. They really preserve our ability to maintain our mandate and be a resource for our community, especially the pet owning community.
So, Sally, what are some of the reasons why people are surrendering their pets to you?
We see a lot of really high urgent needs. So we do have a wait list with a lot of folks struggling with, maybe some low level behavior issues. They're moving in a few months or something to that effect. But we are full up all the time with people really, really struggling with access to care and cost of living. This is people who cannot find or afford housing alongside of their animal. So it's both a challenge of finding rentals that are pet friendly that allows their pet, as well as what they can just simply afford. We're seeing people surrender their animals because they can't afford that cost of care for that animal, that medical care, that treatment that they require. And then we're also seeing people surrendering heartbreakingly for their own health and well-being. And this typically looks like these are individuals who have their own medical needs that has probably drained some of their finances. And now they're struggling to afford the basics, let alone their animal. We've heard stories of people whose families are living in their vehicle or in a tent in the hospital parking lot with their animals because they truly have nowhere else to go and they still want to support that family member. So we see far too much of that, unfortunately, here at the Humane Society.
The overcapacity at a lot of shelters seems to be affecting a number of humane societies across the country. Last year in BC, the SPCA took in, I believe, over 900 pets, which were surrendered. And already this year, they've taken in 800, Sally. In Montreal, there's been like a 32% increase. Meanwhile, in Ontario, intake numbers have gone up 16%. Is this really sustainable?
It's probably not sustainable, be that financially, economically, and even emotionally on some of these caregivers. And so we at the Calgary Humane Society, we started to recognize this a few years ago. And when we really looked at our intake reasons and particularly surrender, these were the things that we saw. We saw people not wanting to surrender, but quite literally having to in order to ensure that their animal had their needs met. And that was the last thing we wanted. We don't want people having to surrender an animal. We want that to be a viable and valid choice if that's something that someone needs to do. So we started creating programs that kept animals healthy, happy, but retained in the homes with the families that love them. That's our no-cost spay-neuter, our wellness clinics for vaccination access. It's our seniors program that's helping out vulnerable seniors with access to vet care. It's our food bank, and it's our pets and renters where we're trying to support pets with any sort of behavioral challenges that instead of being evicted, they can come here for no-cost behavioral support to retain that animal in the home.
It's wonderful that there's so many different options available. But let me ask you, when it comes to capacity of the shelter, what are some of the other big costs involved when taking in so many pets?
I mean, the biggest costs that we're going to accrue are certainly those medical. They come in all varying states. At minimum, these animals are getting a vaccination and a spay neuter, an exam from one of our licensed veterinarians. But a lot of them have a lot of other exacerbating factors that they have going on. Because we have a spay neuter and vaccination clinic, we're able to reduce that basic need for surrender. But then we are left with those animals that might have swallowed a foreign body, which requires a hefty surgery. Animals with dental care that individual just cannot afford that dental for them. So we get these heavy costs of medical care that these animals really desperately require.
Sally Johnston, Director of Community Services for the Calgary Humane Society, thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.